Welcome to the Thought Echoes podcast, where we have an opportunity to listen in as people reflect on their relationship with their thoughts and their creative work and how it's changed since their brain injury. My name is Beth Bonness, host of the Thought Echoes podcast. Thanks for joining.
My name's Bob Phillips, and I am recovering from an injury that is about 4+ years old now, and but still being treated by a neurologist and take medication for it, which I'll talk about later. And I have never realized the impact that what I considered a small concussion can do to you over a period of time. How I got my concussion was we were skiing in Snowmass, Colorado, and we had skied there the previous 3 years, and I knew the runs and everything, but the ski area hadn't had fresh snow for over 3 weeks, and what they were doing was producing man-made snow, which makes it like concrete, the ground. So I was skiing with my wife and another friend, and I was out front, and there was a place that we always stopped coming down this one hill, and I stopped, and as I started stopping, my skis kicked up loose snow, and my tail got caught and flipped me over backwards. I had a helmet on, but the hill was sort of like this, so I fell farther than I would have normally fallen. And it hit hard enough that I just didn't see stars. I saw a flash about this big. So I'm on the ground, and Lisa, who had been on the Mount Bachelor ski patrol, skied up and said to me, "Did you hit your head?" And I said, "No, I knocked the wind out of me." And she said, "You couldn't talk if you knocked the wind out of yourself." And I said, "I knocked the wind out of me." And she asked me again, "Did you hit your head?" And I said, "Well, maybe. Yeah, I guess I did." And she said, "How do you feel?" And then a ski patroller came down and wanted to know if I needed to ride a sled down. And I had ridden sleds before, and I said, no. And we weren't that far from the injury place, the ski patrol had. And Lisa said, "Hey, I'll follow him down, and we'll do real slow." And we did. But I'm down on the ground. I've been skiing 40+ years now. I couldn't figure out how to undo my skis. So Lisa had to get down and undo.
I could see it in your eyes.
She could see it in my eyes that I didn't know what I was doing. There was something wrong. So she undid my skis. We got on the skis, and I slowed down. I went into the shed, and they had a nurse in there, and I walked in and sat down. She said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I hit my head." She said, "How do you feel?" I said, "I think I'm going to get sick." I thought I was going to, so she ran over and got a bag. I never got sick. Second question she asked me, she said, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 70. And she said, "We need to send you down to the hospital to get a CAT scan and whatever. What was the other thing? The CAT scan.
Just the CAT scan.
CAT scan to see if there was any action." So I went down to Aspen, where they had a really good hospital. They're used to dealing with skiers. And I was able to get my CAT scan. The nurse practitioner who was in there said, "Okay, first thing you have to do is get rid of your helmet, because once you hit, they're no good." And I said, "It's a brand new helmet." She said, "No, it's done." So that was a bummer. And then I went and got it done. And I also had gotten a little whiplash in the neck. So my shoulder and my neck was hurting as well. So I went in and got all that done. We had the doctor came in, and I asked him, "When can I ski again?" He said, "Next year when you buy your ticket, maybe." So, that ended that. And so we drove home, and I normally drive most of the way between Phoenix and Snowmass, and I could drive less than an hour. And so Lisa had to drive all the way home. We got home. I scheduled an appointment with my normal doctor, and she knows I'm a consultant. And when it was really interesting, she said, okay, did you keep reading, and did you keep working on your computer, and did you keep working on your phone with your clients? And I said, yes. She said, what happened? I said, well, I would get a headache. She said, Bob, it's not only resting the body, it's resting the mind when you get a concussion. And that's very, very important. So that night I went home and I'm going, yeah, right, sure, no problem. I'm reading my email on my phone. We're watching the Winter Olympics, and all of a sudden the headache hit, and holy crap. So I backed off and really took it easy on that. So the next thing that over the next 6 months, we saw two major personality changes. First of all, I could not get in a group and speak or talk or be around people. And if you knew me, you know that is like 180 degrees away from who I am. And Lisa noticed we were doing a trip with our Rotary group, and she asked me to do something, and I couldn't figure out how to collect money. And it was
From 17 people.
from 17 people I knew. So that was the first thing. The second one is that I became very short-tempered and flew off the handle and just was in your face like that. Again, not me. So as we talked, we went to my doctor, and she recommended the MRI and going to a neurologist. So, and I've been under his care ever since. The funny part was when I first went in, the doctor that was there who treated me, I did all of the walking and those lineup things and stuff, but I had failed the memory test that they give for Alzheimer's, and I failed that. And when he saw that, he said, well, we need to do another MRI and check you out and do some things. And so, but that's when I started on medication. And, we found that the one medication that they put me on eventually put me to sleep, or I'd be in the zone. So we backed off on the dosage, and it was really balanced, so I could be myself and not be in la la land. Or, Lisa said she noticed it when I was staring at the wall while we're watching TV. So since then, again, the medication has really helped. I know I take a second pill that if I know I'm going to be in a group, or I have to do a facilitation, or I'm going to be in a crowd, I still get real anxious about that. So I take that medication, and it calms me down. Otherwise, I get real short and snappy. So, but it's been a real learning experience, and gained a real appreciation for injuries. That, I've hurt myself doing sports all my life, but I never hit my head. And when you injure your head, it's a whole different ballgame.
Well, it was helpful to have Lisa notice, because it'd be hard. You noticed, but having somebody be able to talk to you about, or giving you some feedback, must have been irritating but helpful.
Yeah, it was at first, but the more I realized it.
I'm gonna make you go back to the doctor, because I noticed the anxiety.
Yeah, she's the one that made me go back to the doctor because of my anxiety. And it was really, it would go, and it would be instant. It wasn't that you slowly ramp up. It would be, I would feel it, and and then I began to recognize the symptoms. So, and even now, we have a deal where if I'm ramping it up and she'll just tell me, go take a pill, and I know it'll calm down.
Yeah.
Chill pill.
Yeah,
Yeah, your safe word is take a pill.
exactly.
The next question I wanted to ask you was just how has your relationship with your thoughts changed, if you can parse that out? I mean, you talked a little bit about the anxiety level and whatnot, but if you just kind of look at the filter of how your thoughts, your relationship with your thoughts before and then kind of now after the injury, what would you, is there a difference in how you?
Very much so. And even where I find it most unsettling is when previous to the injury, I could be facilitating a meeting or facilitating one of my clients and stuff, things would just flow. Now I have to and wait for it to catch up. And sometimes I can't even find it, and that's a big change. And again, it's like being able to discuss subjects and what you've been through and the experiences you've had, especially from a work standpoint. That was hard. That was really hard. And yeah, I still today, I have this one client up there who's been my longest client over 25 years. And, he's become a personal friend as well as that. And the first session I did was with his group. He's got only about 18, 19 people in his company. So when we do these summer sessions and they're planning sessions and work sessions, I know everybody. And the first one I did, and nothing was coming out. I said, oh, I had a senior moment. I was able to joke about being older and stuff. He knew the history and what we were doing. And he said, nobody would have noticed if you hadn't said anything. So, but I did. And, that has been really difficult for me personally, to not be able to respond quickly and process that. It's the wheels, and I guess, you can look at it, I'm 75 now. So, being 75 as well as having a head injury, I got a multiplier effect.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Right.
But yeah, the things really changed. And it's, I think at times I'm better about it, but there's times I still get really lost and have to think about it.
Does your level of sleep or whether you've exercised and eating, all the things that we kind of do with the kids when they're little, it's like, okay, you're off. Did you eat? Did you have your nap? So with your just kind of your healthy ecosystem, do you notice how you perform? I don't mean it to be that business related, but that you interact more where you feel like your old self, so to speak, if you're taking care of yourself?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because if I don't eat right, that's when I get irritated. If I don't get enough sleep, that's when I get irritated. And I think those are probably the two most, and pressure, there's sometimes, there's a pressure from having to get something done for a client or whatever. It's not as bad because I don't have as many clients anymore. But
I'm not taking on any new clients.
yeah, and it's because I now have a lot of the work and this is a Rotary Club. So guess who has a lot of responsibilities? They did ask me to get into the chain with officers, to become president of the club eventually. I told them, no way, I've done enough of that crap. So, I'm a good worker and I'll take on committee assignments, but don't ask for me to be ahead of the group. So.
The next thing I wanted to ask was, how is your creative outlet? And I know you're an author, so you've written, and you obviously write for work, but when you think of a creative outlet for Bob, what does that look like? and I'll say, think about that. And then I'm interested in what you did kind of for your creative outlet before, and then how it has impacted. And maybe you were too busy and you really only have done creative stuff now. So,
The true creative, the writing and art or those things has not ever been one of my creative releases. My creative releases have always been managing, coaching, that kind of stuff. And so I still have two of the people I'm coaching right now are returning coachees, that sought me out again when I've coached them before. One who was at ESPN when I coached him the first time, and now he's with Pinterest, but he's never worked in a startup high tech company. So he really, he came back and said, I want to sign you up for a year.
that's probably a good idea.
So, and then the other one that came to me was the guy that he was the CEO of Dave Killer Bread when Dave's was sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I coached him for a year during the process. And then that was like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He called me up last August and said, I really need your help. And I meet with him every week with no timeline. So, but I think that's my creative outlet. And like I said, with the Rotary, when I joined the Rotary, you get a red badge first for you to decide whether you want to become a Rotarian or they want you to be one. And I had a red badge, and they asked me to take over the second most important fundraising event around. That was before my concussion. And somebody asked me to do something, I say yes. But it was a challenge, and there was the guy that had done it 2 years before had a heart attack, so was no help. So, but that's my creativity in those kind of things.
So then how do you see, with that being your outlet, how do you see your relationship with that changing? Is it any different from what you've already talked about in terms of, the letting your thoughts catch up with you and just interacting with people in a group?
It's the same with them for the most part, but a lot of the things they're asking, I've done so many times that it's boom. So
you did the book, when was that? That was back in the 90s?
no, it was published in 2003.
Okay. And have you done any joint authoring since then? Or was that
No, I've done a lot of articles. I did a whole series for the federal ethics people and stuff. I talked to Larry about doing an update. Our book is still selling.
I bet.
And but it's really dated with a lot of the issues like WorldCom and those kind of things, where over the last 5-6 years we could have had a lot. But Larry and I are both the same age, and he'd lost his wife, and so he really wasn't up for it. And I'm not up to writing another book.
Yeah.
So, and I still write articles for use in my own work. Like I worked with an executive team. That's why I was up in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of articles I gave them were ones that I wrote that were specific to issues that they needed help with, around how you work together, how you communicate, how in difficult situations and those kind of things. Okay. So, and I'm able to utilize a lot of years of experience to do that. And that's, I give them some roadmaps, and it's up to them whether they want to use it or not.
Right.
So
good.
I guess I do still some writing, but I don't like the book part anymore.
Understandable. Next question was, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your pre-brain injured self?
Uh, don't take for granted good health, clear thoughts, and to be cautious at times, you know, but even being cautious like I was when I fell,
Didn't
you never know.
right.
So,
Right.
and you know, I think that sometimes relationships are very important to me, and I think they're that not losing track of people. eh, I got really kind of lazy about that at times. So, you know, I mean, look at how I value our friendship. I mean, it's not, I mean, because we worked on a project together, it turned out to be a really good friendship, you know. And that time we saw you guys in a restaurant and all that stuff. Um, you know, that's what's really important to me is, you know, the relationships I built up over the years. And I think I took some of those for granted. I don't now.
That's good. What advice or encouragement would you provide to someone who's recently had a brain injury?
Be open to help. I think it's the most important thing. I really didn't fully understand what I had become as a result of that um, injury. And I think we sometimes, especially, you know, people who had, you know, I had a sports injury and I played sports all my life. So I thought I knew, you know, I was going to be okay because I had always been okay. And I think I would tell people when you have an injury, when you have a stroke, when you have something, don't take it for granted. Seek help. And a lot of times the help is right next to you because they know you better than anybody else. So I did have some friends that said if Lisa hadn't said something, we would have. And it was more of the reaction and anger and, you know, getting in, you know, being snappy with them. They saw that part. They didn't see the anxiety part. So,
Yeah.
but that's the advice I would give them. Because I think that, you know, we as adults don't seek the help we need. And when you're injured, there's even a bigger blockage. So,
Yeah, I identify with that. Well, good. Is there anything that you think, I was going to ask you what creative projects you're working on now. And so you've still got your customers. I mean, in terms of working with your clients, that's your creative outlet. So you're still, what's one that you're really excited about?
Well, I like what I'm doing in the Rotary because I'm president of our foundation. I've just accepted the role to co-lead the biggest fundraiser we have. So that and my clients and no, this has really been good, Beth. It's you know, and I hope it's what you wanted and what you hope to accomplish. And
Thanks for joining me this month. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe. Until next month, take a moment and hug someone you love.